Uh, Program Director, thank you very much. Deputy Minister, Dr. Ngabane, leadership of organized business, leadership of organized labor. They give me a list of organized labor, say, AMCO, NUM, Solidarity, and UWASA. And I asked the person who wrote this, where did you get this order? When you write organized labor, you start with the NUM. So then you can list the others. It doesn't matter what order. Okay. Samda is here. Umhlobo wethu omdala. Yabona mase Samda is a combination of labor and business because it's representing small mining entities, emerging miners. So in other words, they get exploited, they don't get opportunities, they fight for everything. So they're a combination of labor and business. Professional associations, equipment suppliers, representative of Mine Health and Safety Council and MQA, Team DMRE, members of the media present here. I haven't seen many of them because Mine Health and Safety is not juicy news. It's not juicy news, so we don't get a flood of journalists. I'm sure today they're still following the Lekgotla of the ANC of yesterday. What do we say about load shedding and other things? That's what they're chasing. But there's something very important today that we're talking about. It is mine health and safety. We're talking about lives of people, not numbers, not numbers. You know, everybody, people talk about mine and health and safety statistics. We always go and draw our map from January 1960, when 435 mine workers lost their lives in Coalbrook. Coalbrook is in the Free State, Northern Free State, outside of Sasolburg. And in that year, in one disaster, 435 mine workers died in one disaster. And then you can draw that map and follow many other disasters. When I was a mine worker, next door to the mine I was working in, Kinross lost 177 mine workers in one disaster. You can list those disasters. You can go to Valreves, you can go to Klobane, you can go to Sendelina. There were quite a number of those disasters. The larger disasters, like the Palabura disaster, where we lose 5 mine workers and so forth, they are disasters. But when you say 5 mine workers who lose their life is a disaster, you are actually acknowledging the progress we've made. So the industry has improved and it should continue to improve. There is a desire to achieve zero harm. Now, I always have this discussion with Natem Caesar, is that the way to zero harm must go through zero fatality. There must be nobody who dies in the mine. People must go to work and come back safe. Okay, that is the immediate route to zero harm. There must be no fatality in the mining industry. It's a good industry, it's a big industry, it's an important industry. People didn't appreciate how important it is until there was COVID-19 and it saved the fiscus. And I think we must praise the mine workers for the contribution that they made in saving the fiscus and the country after the COVID-19. And again, when the industry saved the fiscus after COVID-19, it was not accidental, it was because we collaborated and took unpopular decisions together. We took unpopular decisions together. When you're a minister like myself, you get a lot of credit for it. You appear very intelligent and above average. But the reality of the matter is that it is giving credit should go to the collaboration in the mining industry. We said open Coca-Cola race at level 5, and we said open cast at level 4, and said open all the mining at level 3. And everybody attacked us and said, it's a stupid decision, you're going to kill mine workers. And we said, no, we're not going to kill mine workers, we're saving them from killing them with hunger. The easiest way of killing them is to starve them to death. And we took that decision. So the mining industry must always appreciate its role and its contribution to society. And as I was saying, it must not be hidden. It's not something that must whisper about it. The mining industry must stand up and talk about these achievements itself. Now, but we have made significant strides of improving health and safety of mine workers and other persons at our mines. Following the democratic breakthrough, we enacted the Mine Health and Safety Act in 1996 to protect health and safety of persons at the mines and promote the spirit of tripartite stakeholder collaboration. And people, when they talk about the Mine Health and Safety Act, they forget to trace its roots. I don't know how many mine workers remember this. Many of them are younger, were older. Now, many mine workers get confused when I say I'm old because, unfortunately, I'm very handsome. Now, people confuse being handsome with being young. I'm just handsome, but I'm not young at all. In 1985, in East Fontaine, there was a big strike. And people don't know what that strike was about. We must tell the story over and over. That strike was about mine workers who were fired for refusing to enter a dangerous place. They were fired. And the whole mine came up on strike, and there was a mass strike there to protect those workers. And Mine Health and Safety Act made it law for workers to refuse to enter dangerous work. I see the tripartism, but to us, the most important content of that act is the enactment of the right of a worker to refuse to enter dangerous work. They changed the issue of saying, enter the dangerous work and report when you come out. Because if you enter a dangerous place, you would enter it and may not come out. You may not come out. And there will be nobody to tell the story of that dangerous place. So the law allows workers to refuse to enter dangerous work, but for workers to exercise that, it requires strong unions. If unions, zoyika belungu, hey kwanzima kakhulu. When unions zoyika belungu, when unions, when they say abelungu sinengazela, what kind of a union is this? Leyo ikabelungu also. Now, unions must enforce that provision in the law. But when you say it's dangerous place, you must show it. Okay? Must show it. I always tell people in the department, Paul, that listen, one of the basic things you learn in the mining industry is never to panic. Because panic kills, We learn this over and over. It's rubbed into your head that never panic. Panic kills. Panic kills. And when we illustrate that, we say, when you panic, you run into a rock hanging, and it falls on you, and you die. So panic kills. You must be relaxed all the time. Take pressure on your strike with a straight face. That is a mining training all the time. Now, there is a general understanding and appreciation that the health and safety of mine workers is central to long-term sustainability of the mining industry. An industry that kills its workers is not sustainable. An industry that protects its workers is sustainable. Because people who work in the industry begin to have trust in the industry itself. Therefore, it's the industry and the person. The trust deficit between the industry and workers is something that we must deal with consciously, so that workers must trust the industry. When we had COVID, I had a big fight with the mining industry. And they said, I'm selling them out because when mine workers were coming back, were told to come back in the middle of a COVID, and they were being arrested by police. I said, no, 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 no. Don't arrest those mine workers. Arrest the person who called them. They arrested the top person in a mining company and put him in prison and had to pay bail of 60,000 rand. And I said, it's not war. We're not fighting the industry, but the industry must appreciate that mine workers in Kala receive a letter that says, come here. And it's written by a CEO called Steenkamp. They must not be arrested for coming back during COVID. Steenkamp must be arrested. That's simple as that. And then Steenkamp must explain what was the plan to call those mine workers back during COVID. So the more we talk, the more we interact, the more we come close to one another. So there was no love lost, but we appreciated the fact that mine workers are exposed if we take reckless decision at the head of the industry. Now, so the industry, it is the workers who convert investment into wealth. Many people, we used to have a long fight about whether the industry must respect shareholders and so forth. Shareholders are important, but shareholders give you money, they invest. But it is a worker who goes underground and converts that investment into wealth. That worker put his life at risk to convert the investment into wealth. And once we begin to appreciate that, workers get fair treatment at work, everybody respects them, because it's not just a question of going to work and coming back. You are converting investment into wealth. When we say a mine company so-and-so has made huge profits, it is paying dividends to shareholders and so forth, what is never explained is that workers have converted that investment into wealth, and those dividends are a product of the sweat of workers. That's why their health and safety is so important to us. It requires a collective duty of all social partners to ensure that our mine workers return home from work unharmed every day. Every day. Okay. So we are encouraged by our collective efforts continue to show a downward trend. In 2019, we registered 51 fatalities. In 2019, we registered 51 fatalities, and we said that's a record. And we slipped back in 2020 to about 60 fatalities. We felt so bad. We slipped further down in 2021 to 74. Now we're registering 49 fatalities in the industry, which is a new record in terms of the number of fatalities in the sector. So that record is a milestone. It's not the target objective of the industry. It's a milestone. That's how far we've gone, 49, but it's worth celebrating it, that we're now at 49. Now, when we registered 51 items, many people could tell us that, maybe numbers have come down in the industry. So, no, it's not my numbers that have come down. It's the effort collectively of all the stakeholders to work for safer mining industry. If we work together, the mining industry is going to be safer. If we collaborate, the mining industry is going to be safer. If we talk to one another, the mining industry is going to be safer. When I was a mine worker, we used to do a number of things. One of the things that I always organize is that when a new general manager came to the mine, I had to organize a one-day strike just to welcome the new general manager. And we call that's not a strike. We're just welcoming the man who has arrived here. So, and there was one funny thing about that. During that time, we broke all the production record of underground coal mines at Matla. But we had 24 work stoppages of one kind or another in 14 months and broke production records. And people try to understand the logic of this, that Eli Sufi. Eh? I want you to write this and write a book on it. It's because when mine workers know that there is a strong union who take up their issues with employers and we all together get solutions, that workforce get more motivated and it will break production records. Not because it doesn't go to the work stoppage, but because it is motivated. When they go back to work, you see that song, Utambuya, buya, buya, and that coal continuous miner just cut, and the shuttle cars are just running, and we break the production record because our issues are taken up and they get resolved. And I always advise employers, any employer who fire trade unionists who organize a strike don't understand industrial relations. They must still go back to school. Now, we must also recognize the fact that fall of ground is a major source of fatalities. There's a 70% reduction on fall of ground. Progress. Now, can I tell you why is it progress? It's because, for example, particularly for gold mines, and to a lesser extent platinum mines, because gold mines are deep, old, and therefore are beginning to mine the pillars. And when you mine those pillars, seismicity becomes prevalent in the industry, and fall of ground become prevalent as well. So as we improve fall of ground as a source of accidents in the industry, it's something that we must celebrate because it means we do mine pillars, we go back to old areas of mining, but we are careful and we are applying our mind to protect mine workers from accidents. 7, there's a 100% reduction in machinery. When you talk of machinery in the MCs, I know that you'll talk about all the other things, all those things. The mining industry, particularly open cast, have big dump trucks. You know? And when we're campaigning for women to work in the mines, one of the things that we proved was that mine workers are more efficient in areas that require precision. And they drive dump trucks safer than men. And people ask us, why is that the case? We told them that because for men, everything is about a war. They go out to fight, and they roll those dump trucks. And women are soft, they're precise, and they reduce accidents from dump trucks. I don't know now, they are now going to be powered from hydrogen energy. I'm sure they will be safer, I don't know. I imagine so, when we have those. And therefore, to address the question of injuries and fatalities, we must work together. I don't know where is solidarity and where is WASA. Okay. WASA, Solidarity, NUM, AMCO, okay. There are other new unions that are getting into the industry. Now, if you allow them, they become majority unions in one operation, you must know that you are in trouble. I'm advising trade unions now. Now, the injuries, we're improving in fatalities, we're improving in injuries, but the numbers remain high. You know, in injury, an incident is a pointer that there was a potential fatality. So we must pay more attention to these occupational injuries, occupational diseases. I have not gone for an examination in the Western camp. I have not gone. I know there's money for silicosis. I suspect that I may get few runs there. So I want to go for examination and check if I don't have money for silicosis. But the question of occupational diseases is very important. Very important. TB, that says, for a mine worker, sometimes you get a long expression that it is not work-related TB. And I always ask the question, how can it be not work-related when I'm a mine worker and I work underground in the dusty place? But medical people, Tutula, always make the distinction. This is occupational, this is not occupational. As a worker, I refuse to believe that a little bit of it, if you have TV, you are working in the mines, it's occupational. Now, that is not professional, that is a trade union understanding. Okay, you can't have TV that is not occupational when you are working underground. That TV is occupational. Yeah. If unions allow that to have this distinction, it's up to them. You put pressure on the employers, every TV is an occupational TV. And if they explain, they must go in a long explanation and prove scientifically. But for a trade union, there's nothing like a non-occupational TB. Tuberculosis for a mine worker is tuberculosis which is work-related, full stop. Everything else you can follow. The women in mining, I love this project because we started it as a project, and when we started it was 1987, people don't remember this, the 21 days that shook the chamber. One of the things that we started was a campaign to have women working in the mines. They were not allowed. We went there and we said 10% of the workforce must be women. Eh? Now, people say 10% is very low. No, it's not low when you're starting from zero. Today, there's 62,000 women working in the industry. I don't convert it into percentages, okay? I don't convert it, I just call numbers. 62,000 mine workers are female. Eh? That's progress, eh? That's progress. And as you increase the number of female, there are many challenges in the area of mine health and safety. Because your protective clothes must talk to the requirement of women. Okay. And everything must talk to the requirement for women. And as male workers working with these women, we must appreciate that these women should not be abused because they come to the mine, who are many. The women are not objects of abuse. Women must never be objects of abuse. Women must be respected. In the research I conducted last year, including in Harmony and Adestian, one of the things that I discovered was that female managers have a different approach to management, but they are more passionate about their subordinates. And that results into more productivity in the workplace. They are motherly, they are not boss approach. They are more motherly in dealing with their subordinates and make people into a team and encourage them to produce. So we celebrate that. The improvement is something that we must celebrate. I don't want to take a long time here because it's a date, Yakon says. I must not take your thunder. But more important is that as we improve mine health and safety, one of the things we should always appreciate is that working together is key to success. Okay, you don't see, when it comes to mine health and safety for unions, mine bosses are not your enemies in this area. Maybe on wages and other things they can, but on mine health and safety, they are your partners. In mine health and safety, we're all partners. The department is also a partner. I always refuse to be called a stakeholder. I say I'm not a stakeholder. I'm government. So don't call me stakeholder. I'm government. But when it comes to health and safety, I accept it. We're all stakeholders, work together, we're partners, everybody must get in there, work together. And therefore, if we collaborate, we'll succeed. Let me conclude by saying the lowest record of fatalities, injuries, and occupational diseases, they are all encouraging. It means if we do it right, we do it together, we can continue to improve. I hope 2023 will see another improvement. This thing of improvement, then slip back, and then improve, should not be the case. We should continue to improve all the time because we are moving towards zero harm. Zero harm. And zero harm includes zero fatalities. Nobody must die at work in the mining industry. It's a very important mining industry. Let me conclude by again appealing to the industry. Whether it is unions or the industry, talk about your achievements. Please do that. Talk about your achievements. Tell positive stories about the industry. We must not be fed negative stories about the industry all the time. There are many positive stories that we must read. There are many stories that we must listen to, and they must be told by the industry itself. Komunye ufike kuthiwa nguSikhumba khoyo apha undaweni uSikhumba 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 onankuya more positive stories about the industry must be out there. All those positive stories about the industry must be out there, because if we don't tell those stories, somebody else will tell the negative stories. We do a lot of SLP projects out there. Nobody knows about them. One day I went to Rustenburg, we handed over a primary school and a high school in one day, built by this sector. That story was not even in the back pages of newspapers, because we don't tell that story. Social license for the mining industry is very important. Change the reputation and the image of the industry in the public eye. It's very important. If we don't do it, it's not going to happen. People will still continue to think that mining industry will join. Okay? And when we tell people that in this industry, 3 major mining companies are run by female CEOs, they don't believe it. 3 major companies. I don't talk of the emerging companies. I'm talking of 3 major mining companies are run by female CEOs. They're not symbolic. They're not window dressing. They are serious CEOs of major mining companies, which we observe and look into their performance. Nolita is not here. He's the president of the Mineral Council. First female president in 131 years. Now, all those stories are not told. We're not telling the stories and the progress we're making in the industry. It's a very big industry. It's a very important industry. It can be abusive to you, but you are not going to break ties with it. It's addictive. It's an industry that you just fall in love with. We are celebrating today some improvement on mine fatalities. Thank you very much.